How's it going, fellow bakas? It's your bro, Anime Baka here, and I'm going to tell you the whole deal behind Gege Akutami's Jujutsu Kaisen series in this video. So, without further ado, let's get to it, my specials. So, Jujutsu Kaisen literally translates to sorcery battle, and it's exactly as advertised. It's a series about sorcerers doing, well, battle. But don't get it twisted. Jujutsu Kaisen isn't set in some hunky-dory fantasy world where kids learn to wave their wands at the local wizardry school and trans people aren't magic. Jeez Louise, calm the down, J.K. Rowling. That's because in this anime and manga series' fictional version of Japan, sorcerers can and will absolutely kick your ass. Even their school, aptly named the Tokyo and Kyoto Metropolitan Curse Technical College respectively, makes it a habit to dunk on their student body every once in a while. Now, as far as how magic goes in Jujutsu Kaisen, the series refers to an energy called Jiryoku, aka cursed energy, which then comes from any built-up negative feelings a person accumulates. According to its mythos, each and every living being in the world exudes cursed energy. On the flip side, accumulating too much cursed energy inside your body without naturally releasing it gives rise to so-called curses, or noroi. These curses aren't your typical bad juju either. Instead, they manifest as literal monsters. On a brighter note, Jujutsu Kaisen's curses draw heavily from classic Japanese folklore and myth. So if you're a fan of yokai and fantastic design sensibilities, Jujutsu Kaisen's monsters will definitely give you a chub, or half chub, if you're a cultured gentleman or madam. We mean, come on guys, look at this guy. He's got a fondue pot on his head. It's amazing. And since they're pretty much born out of good old-fashioned hate and spite, you can bet your butt that these curses love only one thing in the world: effing up humans. Simply put, if you've got mommy issues or you're a sad boy, you're definitely part of the problem. That's where Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerers come in. In this alternate version of Japan, there are people who are born with the innate ability to control the cursed energy flowing through their veins. In turn, these Jujutsu sorcerers are able to perform incredible feats ranging from superpowered punches to, and we're not kidding here, bending the laws of space and time itself. Now, we won't go into too much detail about how these powers work, but all you need to know is that there are pretty much a couple of main techniques that Jujutsu sorcerers use to do their job. First, there's Jujutsu Shiki, otherwise known as cursed techniques. These techniques allow its user to pull off moves that are either unique to the one performing it or abilities that have been passed on within their own family. Speaking of, Jujutsu Kaisen has major Nepo baby vibes going for it too, as the whole Jujutsu sorcery industrial complex in the series is basically run by a handful of powerful bloodlines. On the other hand, the other bread and butter technique that sorcerers use to do their job is called domain expansion. Simply put, domain expansion is this ability where you're able to open a pocket dimension to trap your opponent. On top of that, each user's domain allows them to augment their cursed techniques and get a 100% sure hit guarantee within its confines. So yeah, domain expansion is basically a weeaboo version of home court advantage in sports. As far as world building, Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerers work as a government-sanctioned shadow organization called Jujutsu Society. That is to say, this version of Japan is well aware of the existence of monsters and cursed magic, but it's not public knowledge. On top of that, Japan also has the most number of curses and cursed technique users in the world. No surprises there. This is a manga and anime series after all. Hey, if you want your country to be the main setting of a story, then go make your own. In any case, Jujutsu Society is pretty much this secret cabal in charge of defending Japan's citizens from curses. It's an established, secretive organization that's well organized too. Budding Jujutsu sorcerers are scouted and enrolled at one of two schools specializing in Jujutsu sorcery, one in Tokyo and the other in Kyoto. And there, they get put on a really weird career path where they basically become government employees tasked with hunting cursed monsters after graduating. But hey, at least they get to wear cool uniforms. Now, you guys remember that thing we mentioned about JJK having Nepo baby vibes? Yeah, these clans basically belong to the upper echelons of Jujutsu Society. They're basically the ruling council of their organization, and it's made up of 3 of the oldest and most powerful families in their world. First, there's the Gojo clan. And if you already have a passing knowledge of Jujutsu Kaisen, you know that this is the same family where that swaggy, white-haired stick of a Kit Kat, Gojo Satoru, comes from. Then there's the Kamo clan, who specialize in bloodbending. Oh, and there's some of the most uppity you'll meet this side of anime. Finally, there's the Zenin clan, who happens to be the closest thing Jujutsu Society has to a military branch. They've got boners for fisticuffs is what I'm saying, and they value nothing else more than pure, uncut martial prowess. As such, the Zenin are discriminative, but not quite on the level of your typical ice officer. Whoopsie! Ooh. In any case, geezers from these clans basically set the rules on how Jujutsu Society and its sorcerers work, and well, it turns out as bad as you'd expect. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Jujutsu Kaisen's main guy is a kid named Itadori Yuji. At first glance, he's your prototypical shonen manga protagonist. That is to say, he's more or less a nice, friendly dude who's living his life as an adolescent. Yuji spends most of his days hanging out with his crew at their school's occult club, where they mess around with supposedly supernatural phenomena. That, and Yuji probably uses the remainder of his time gooning. You know, the most natural thing a pubescent boy does. One day, Yuji and his squad get more than they bargained for when they unwittingly remove the seal off an evil, powerful relic that belongs to the near-immortal ancient curse user named Ryomen Sakuna. This relic, which happens to be one of Sakuna's desiccated fingers, contains the worst kind of hoodoo imaginable, a part of Sakuna's own twisted soul. As if by fate or pure circumstance, a budding Jujutsu sorcerer named Fushiguro Megumi was also looking for the same relic the same night that Yuji and his pals done messed up with their occult project. This whole hubbub culminates with Yuji getting all fingered up in an attempt to rescue Megumi. That is to say, he ate Sakuna's gross, dehydrated finger in one go. The boy knows how to swallow, if nothing else. However, this just ended up with Yuji playing host to Sakuna's soul. And as you can see, this is where we witness Jujutsu Kaisen following classic shonen tropes. You know the ones. That whole deal where some rando chances upon an adventure of epic proportions. On the other hand, this adventure sucks for Yuji. That's because becoming Sakuna's vessel has pretty much made him a target for Jujutsu Society. You see, they want nothing more than to exorcise or permanently terminate Sakuna. In order to do that, they have to take out Yuji as well. In other words, Yuji was marked for execution. Enter Gojo Satoru. He's basically the Michael Jordan of Jujutsu sorcerers, except instead of having a gambling addiction, Satoru has a major superiority complex. You see, unlike other mentor-type characters in popular media, Satoru isn't some humble, soft-spoken, wise father figure. In fact, he's the opposite of that. Satoru knows he's that dude. That is to say, he's got the riz and he knows how to flaunt it. So much so that this silver-haired magic Ikemen has the juice to bypass Jujutsu Society's laws for fear that its higher-ups would get on his bad side. And if you're wondering what happens when you piss off Satoru, let's just say he can turn about a third of your digestive and respiratory system into a gaping hole without breaking a sweat. So yeah, my man's is a problem. That said, Satoru used his clout within Jujutsu Society to pretty much strong-arm its higher-ups into indefinitely postponing Yuji's scheduled execution in order to save the boy's life. As Satoru's plan goes, Yuji should only be executed once he's able to chow down on each of Sakuna's 20 fingers to ensure that the ancient sorcerer gets permanently yeeted to the afterlife once they execute Yuji. So yeah, it's not much of a saving grace, but if you're on death row, getting an extra day in the land of the living is probably only second to receiving a Hummer from Sydney Sweeney in terms of good luck. You take what you can get, baby. In the meantime, Yuji was now going to be enrolled at Tokyo's Metropolitan Curse Technical College in hopes of using the powers he gained from getting fingered by Sukuna for good. And this is where Jujutsu Kaisen's overarching saga begins. Along the way, Yuji gets acquainted with his fellow students from Jujutsu High, like the guy we mentioned earlier, Megumi. Megumi is basically your edgelord archetype with a dash of daddy issues. He's like a younger version of Hayakawa Aki from Chainsaw Man, in that they both have the ability to summon fantastic beasts from their proverbial back pocket. Then there's Kugisaki Nobara. She's a Jujutsu sorceress in the same team and classroom as Yuji and Megumi, and she's what you'd call a sundry lover's wet dream. Honestly, we here at the channel also have a thing for Nobara, so no judgment here. She's super cool, and believe us when we say that this best girl doesn't give a single whenever she has to throw hands with curses. Of course, we've barely begun to scratch the surface of Jujutsu Kaisen's entire saga in this video. Think of what you're watching right now as JJK 101. And although we're not going to spoil too much of it here for you, what you definitely should know about this series is that it knows how to subvert fans' expectations. There's tons of infighting, political maneuvering, introspection, and of course, some of the trippiest, most bombastic fight scenes you'll see in manga and anime. Oh, and we're not exaggerating when we say that no one, and we mean no one, is safe in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. So if you've chosen a man, girl, or guy to goon to, fair warning, there's a chance they're not going to make it to the end of the story. There you have it, guys. This has been Jujutsu Kaisen explained by Baka. We hope you loved watching this video as much as we did making it. Feel free to let us know what you thought about it, which specific JJK arc you want us to cover next, or what other anime, manga, or manhwa series you want us to do in the comments section below. And please help us create more content like this by hitting that like, share, and subscribe button with the notification bell turned on. In the meantime, keep your hands off any dried fingers you come across. They're bad news, man. We'll see you soon, sisters and brothers in Baka Hood.